Hi, yesterday I was thinking about how language shapes our perception of reality. I was thinking about that and I wondered if we were to change our language, how we speak, if our reality would be different. And I was thinking that because I want to experience a different reality than I have been experiencing. And I'm sure that many of you have thought that or have said that. Otherwise, we would never have anything to complain about, right? So, let me explain. I came up with an experiment that I want to do this and see what my reality would be like versus how it is now. So I'm going to explain how this works and then I'll explain exactly what I am doing. Also, I just wanted to mention that I'm going to put videos down below that explain some of the details I give in this video. So, our perception of reality is literally what we experience physically. Everything exists as waves of possibilities energetically, and our underlying subconscious beliefs determine what we experience in this physical realm. And it's been shown by studying other cultures and other languages that how we speak impacts literally what we see. And they've shown this with using color, direction, assigning like masculine and feminine to different things, time, how people experience time, and again, videos down below on exactly what that's about. But let me explain how our subconscious beliefs affect the physical reality. So some of you might have heard of the double slit experiment. I'm not sure if you've heard of the delayed quantum eraser double slit experiment, but I'm going to explain the whole thing quickly. But basically, when scientists shoot particles at one slit, it makes a pattern on the wall, right? Just a line. However, when they send out, when a wave goes through the slit, it makes a line on the wall, but then it goes across the entire wall, kind of fading out, right? But when they put two slits out, waves will interfere with each other and make an interference pattern on the wall. So like if they send water through it, okay, it makes an interference pattern on the wall. And they were trying to determine if light was wave or particle. I think that's why they originally did it. But anyway, so what they found is that when they shoot electrons, okay, at the two slits, they got an interference pattern, like it was a wave, okay? But when they shot one, so they decided to do shoot electrons, one electron at a time at the wall, okay? And when they did this, they got the interference pattern as well, like it was a wave, okay? But they were only shooting one electron, and by doing this, what this meant is that the electron was going through one slit and also not going through the same slit, and then going through the other slit and also not going through the other slit, right? It would be like defying logic, okay? And so they were confused. They wanted to know how this was possible. How does that even make any sense, right? And so they decided, well, let's put, they show it with this like eyeball, right? Let's watch. They put, let's watch which slit the electron is going through. And so they put a like video camera or something and had it watch when the electron would go through the slit, right? And when they did that, the pattern it made on the wall was not an interference pattern. It was two slits, like it was a particle. So they'd shoot one at a time, and it would make two slits instead of making the interference pattern when they weren't watching it with the camera. And so the act of, it seems the act of observing it was making the wave into a particle, like collapsing the wave function into a particle. Okay? But it gets even weirder. So, but what I am claiming, or what I'm claiming, is that it's the underlying belief about what they expected to see that is collapsing the wave particles. So when they said, which slit is the electron going through, and they put a camera to watch it, right? The underlying assumption was that it was a particle going through one slit. And that is what they saw, okay? So now I want to get into the okay, so before I get into the quantum eraser, delayed quantum eraser part of the double slit experiment, I want to apply this to language, okay? So I walk into my hotel room, because that's where I'm staying right now, and it's a mess. I see a mess, okay? And I say, clean up this mess. What I'm doing is my underlying belief is that it's a mess, and I will see more mess, okay? But you might be thinking, well, but you saw a mess, and so you didn't cause the mess to happen because you said clean up this mess. But this is what the delayed quantum eraser experiment addresses. Because what they did was like, okay, so if we don't put this camera to watch which slit the electron goes through, it shows that a wave interference pattern, it's a wave. But if we put a camera and are like, which one does it go through, it shows up as a particle. So how about if we wait until the particle, the electron, goes through the two slits, and then we record, okay? And then we decide if we're going to record or not. So they would wait until the electrons passed through the slits, but before it hit the wall, to decide if they were going to watch it or not watch it, like record it or not record it, okay? And what they found was that it would go through the slits, or go through the slits, right? And then if they decided to record after it went through the slits, it would make the pattern on the wall of it was a particle. If they decided not to record after it went through the slits, it would make a wave interference. So what was happening is that it went through the slits, they determined if they were going to look at it or not, and the electron somehow went back in time and determined if it was going through as a wave or a particle. So their current belief, underlying belief, observation, like to observe or not to observe, determined what happened in the past so that the past matched with the current moment. And how that applies to language. So what I'm saying is that when you went into the room, or when I went into the room and I said, clean up this mess, the act of me saying, clean up this mess, my underlying belief that it was a mess, determined beforehand that it would be a mess that I saw. And I know that sounds way out there, but watch some of the videos, study some of the stuff, and I know it might be mind twisting. So here's my experiment. I'm going to stop speaking. I'm gonna start this with the new moon, which I think it said September 17th, 7 a.m., but I don't know what time zone or whatever, or if that's like, I don't know. Just said that on the Google. And I'm going to stop speaking, and I'm going to do this for a whole lunar month. But I'm going to stop speaking except for to speak what I want to experience. And I say I'm just going to stop speaking because it's so automatic. It's so, we don't think before we speak. It's like habitual, okay? And so to break the habit of speaking a reality that I don't want to experience, I'm going to have to consciously think about everything that comes out of my mouth. So before I say anything, I have to consciously construct it to what I want to experience. And what I'm going to do is today, I'm going to make a list of what I'm currently experiencing without judgment, just what I'm currently experiencing. And then on the next new moon, make a list of what I'm currently experiencing to see the difference in this. And let me give you some examples, though, just a few examples of how this would work. So when things come up, because a lot of times people are like, well, how do you do that if this happens? And how do you do that if this happens? Is what I could see a lot of people saying. Like, for instance, some of the things that I have a hard time with, my kids yelling while I'm driving, okay? Something about that just like makes me cringe so bad. And anyway, so if my kids are yelling in the car, I would not say stop yelling, okay? Because saying stop yelling is reinforcing the subconscious belief that there is yelling in my experience, okay? And so in a way, yes, I'm denying what I see because I want to see something differently. But what I would say instead is I want peace, okay? And with the thought and feeling of peace. So let me give you another example. The messy room. When I walk into the messy room, instead of seeing the messy room as like, you know, I would see it as a lump of clay if I were a sculptor, as something that I can make into something beautiful. If my kids are yelling, I would see it as the contrast to the peace that I want to experience. So like the pause between beats and music. Okay, so I would instead imagine what I want. And it's like a gratitude thing too, because if I can think of everything that comes up that contrasts what I want to experience as an awakening of me wanting to experience something, so like an awakening of a piece of art that comes into my mind, and see it like that, because it's like an artist will look at like a blank canvas, okay? And they don't get frustrated that it's blank because they want a masterpiece of art. They look at it and they're like, oh my God, and they think of what they can do with it, okay? So I'm going to look at the contrasting experiences that come up in that way and then speak in a way that is in line with what I want to experience. And I don't know everything I'm going to say or exactly what I'm going to do. And if I don't know what to say in that moment, I'm not going to say anything until I know what to say. So I'm going to have to think about everything that comes out of my mouth. So that is the experiment. I invite everyone to do this if you want to. You can I'm going to put my experience of my reality, what I'm experiencing right now, in the comments. You can put your experience of what you're experiencing right now in the comments, and then compare it to your experience on the next new moon in the comments. And I will probably make a better video of this at some time, depending on how this goes. I don't have editing material right now because that's one of the things my computer had crashed. So, let's see what we can bring in. And that's all I have. So, thank you.